platform. So just give me 1 second to verify that. And if we're live, we should be good to go. Let's see. I believe folks on Twitter already can see us, and then on YouTube we are already live. So we just give like a couple of seconds until everybody clicks on the link and then joins the call. But I guess we can go ahead and start. So yeah, we are loud and clear. That's good. We got feedback. We are live. Perfect. Hi everyone, welcome. So without further ado, let's start. Hello everyone, welcome to the 62nd community call. I'm Robert, a developer advocate at the Starknet Foundation, and I will be your host for today. This call is particularly special as it features, I believe, the most invited speakers we ever had on a community call, and we're thrilled to welcome Nathan from Starkware, Derek from Starknet Foundation, Max from Luganodes, John from Nethermind, Masha from Everstake, and Apur from Carnot. I'll let everybody introduce themselves shortly, but our focus for today's discussion in today's community call is Starknet, staking, and delegation, where we'll dive deep into Starknet phase staking and its roadmap, platform tools, dashboards, helping validators and delegators, and first-hand validators' perspective on Starknet staking. There's a lot of exciting topics to discuss about, and I hope we can have an overall great time. For our viewers, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them into the YouTube chat section or X/Twitter, depends on how you refer to it, and we'll do our best to address them. Without further ado, hi everyone. Let's start with introduction. Nathan, could you please kick things off? Once you're done, feel free to pass this to someone else.
Thank you, Robert. It's on the first community call that I'm doing with you. It's always a pleasure. My name is Nathan. I'm a PM at Starkware. I'm the product manager that led the staking first version launch. In Starkware for 1.5 years now, and I will say it now and I'll say it in the end. You will see like this the most people in the community call ever by Robert. So there were so many other and like tons of other groups that participate in this launch. So this is just a bunch of them. So I'm going to shout out for the people who are missing also. Derek.
Cool, thank you. And likewise, Robert, thanks for having me on the call. It's great to see you all here. So my name's Derek. I head up product at the foundation. So that involves working with developer partnerships quite a lot, which means working with lots of different partners from tooling, infra, public goods. So for me, staking is super relevant, super interesting. So I am keen to get a good view into what sort of tooling infra dashboards everyone is working on. And also I want to see questions from the community in terms of what are you guys lacking? What have you seen elsewhere that we want to build? What do we want to introduce? How do we make the developer experience better? What can we optimize? And for me, in terms of developer partnerships, that's very relevant. In terms of staking, I've really enjoyed working with Nathan and the Starkware team on the implementation and this road. This is really a journey from the different phases, which I'm sure we'll talk about, to getting towards full decentralization and what that involves. So yeah, super happy to be here with you guys. I think this is really like setting up some amazing milestones to move us forward. So next, I'll hand it over to John.
Hey everybody, I'm John Church. I am also super excited to be here. I love being on community calls, having been part of Bankless DAO and others in the past. And as part of Nethermind, I'm head of product over our Starknet engagement, and I as well am super excited to hear from the community what people feel like Starknet is missing. And I'm representing our Voyager dashboard, and I think a thing that I'm super excited about is helping support the Starknet as one of the first L2s to become decentralized. And lastly, I am a Starknet brother.
And if you can name somebody else.
That's right. All right. I'm going to name Max. Over to you.
Awesome. Thank you, John. Hey, everybody. Max here from Luganodes. We are one of the validators on Starknet. Super excited to be here. Just a brief introduction of myself and Luganode. So we're an institutional grade validator on various chains, amongst other, of course, Starknet, as mentioned. Funny or interesting side note, we were actually born out of the Lugano Plan B initiative, which is an initiative from the city of Lugano in Switzerland in collaboration with Teva. So their goal is to become a crypto city. So I always happy to mention that, as it's not very popular yet. And yeah, we're institutional validator on different chains, focusing on security and compliance with SOC 2 Type 2 and other security audits to address rather the institutional market, meaning, for example, we work a lot with exchanges or institutional investors that are interested in staking to cover this part of the stakers and delegators. And I am pointing to Masha, please.
Thank you. Hey, everyone, again. Thank you for having us today. And it's a true pleasure to join you and discuss such an important and exciting topic as staking. And congratulations to the team and to all of us on this launch. Yeah, my name is Masha, and I'm blockchain manager lead at Everstake. We're a validator, and currently we operate in over 80 blockchain networks and protocols with more than 6 years of experience in the markets. And our goal is always to support crypto community and our partners, fostering innovation and driving industry forward to everyone's benefit. And in the wild world of Web3, we're making everything to be like a dependable Wi-Fi or something you can always count on. Thank you. I think the last participant left here. Apurv, please.
Hello everyone. I'm Apurv. I'm the founder of Cardnot and also aspiring to become a Starknet brother. So at Cardnot over here, we do all things infra in the ecosystem. So we are mostly we started as an app as a service solution. We're still doing that obviously, but we have been pretty involved in the staking side as well. And the three main ways in which we're involved is we are one of the companies running a Starknet validator. We also have an LST in collaboration with StarkFarm called Endure, or if you have known it by the name of Xstar. So if you're watching this, make sure you stick with Endure. And finally, we also have a dashboard where you can check the entire staking scene on Starknet.
Well, thank you everyone for the nice introductions, and I think this will be an amazing call. For kind of like the next part, I kind of like have a few sections divided, and we can basically start with some of the technical overview and roadmap on the staking and delegation, and maybe a question for Nathan to start with. Could you walk us through Starknet's phased approach to staking, and what milestones can we expect in the roadmap ahead?
Yes. So let's take I would say a bit of a detour on this question. So what are we trying to attempt? Basically, Starknet is an L2, as in all L2s, it's still centralized. But as a validity rollup, we prove all of our transactions and signatures. So essentially, our main risks is single points of failure and censorship resistance, and some you can think about consistency issues otherwise. Regardless, we think the network should be decentralized and should be belonged and run by the community itself, allowing for broadness and censorship resistance and a lot of better security. So we are putting this first and foremost, but this is a very uphill transition. Changing a consensus protocol for a chain while it's running is not an easy task. The only chain I know of that did it, a major chain that did it, is Ethereum, transitioning between a proof of work and a proof of stake. It took it more than 3 years, or more than 2 years. Depends when you start counting. Many uncertainties and a lot of technological milestones in the way. So basically, we're trying to learn from their efforts and their very, very brave transition and do something similar. So this is why we chose the incremental step approach and what we generally sought after. So this is the first stage. What we generally wanted to do is we wanted to check the economical incentive structure. So in this first stage, we'll have the staking protocol entirely on L2, which is novel, with enshrined delegation on the protocols. You can either be a delegator, you can delegate your stake to a chosen validator or be a validator, and it's entirely on L2. But currently, the validators do not sequence the network. They don't prove all the transactions and do all that sort of stuff. They're just running full nodes. So what is our incremental step approach? It's basically saying we will gradually increase the responsibilities by these validators until they run the network themselves. So currently, they just lock funds and run full nodes. The next milestone, you can imagine them attest to blocks, later voting on blocks as part of a consensus mechanism, and lastly sequence blocks and proving them. So this is how you should imagine it. In the meanwhile, we can also product fit the whole protocol to maximize on LSTs, exchanges, etc. So the incremental approach is not only for validators to get ready, it's also for us to look at step by step and optimize it and make it the best way we can.
Got it. Thank you very much for that great introduction and to the phased approach. I'm not sure, Derek, is there anything you would like to add from the foundation part for you? Like, how is like the Starknet Foundation view this big milestone?
Not too much. I mean, I agree with everything Natan said there. I think an important thing to add maybe that the foundation or Starkware itself doesn't own staking in any capacity. This is really a community initiative. So we don't have firm dates behind these phased rollouts and how they're going to be brought upon. A lot of this, it's like I said earlier, it's a journey towards full decentralization, and that discussion and the discussion is happening in the forum. You can all see the snips where this originated from. I think it was snip 18, Natan, that you introduced, and this is an evolution over time. So it's really there where all the discussion and discourse is happening. So nothing much to add beyond that.
Thank you, Derek. Well, then a follow-up question for Nathan regarding the phase staking. So, like the whole architecture of the whole staking architecture seems quite modular. Maybe if you could explain like these different components and how they work together to enable both validation and delegation. You're on mute.
Yeah, sure. So thank you for the quick notice there. So when we first approached this and tried to design, we wanted to have some modular architecture just to have different kind of contracts responsible for different kind of roles. The idea there is upgradability would be easier, and also trust assumptions between different contracts would be easier. So even if a bug is spotted in one contract, it doesn't mean that the whole system as a whole would fail. It just means that I need to do some specific thing, and it would be easier to fix and easier to control, etc. So that's the idea behind it. It would actually allow us to I would say, yeah. So that's the very zoomed out vision. Let's talk concretely what we have. So on L2 we have 3 major contracts. The first major one is staking contract. You can think of it as a registry that just keeps tracks of how many stocks are staked and to who they belong. We have another contract which is just doing a very simple calculation called the minting curve contract. Because the way the staking protocol works, the rewards depend on how much Stark there is actually staked. The more Stark being staked, the less the rewards are. The less the Stark being staked, the more the rewards are greater. So there's a designated contract just to do these calculations, and there is a reward supplier, which sounds very reasonable, but the job of the reward supplier is non-trivial. Stark is a native L1 token. It was initiated before Starknet was live on Ethereum. So the reward supplier actually is responsible to see how much rewards have been accumulated by validators, and every now and then says, oh, my supply is running short, sends a message to Ethereum N1, in which case new tokens are bridged to its reward supplier. So 3 main contracts: the main staking one, the minting curve who does some minting calculation or just rewards calculation, and the reward supplier that just keeps a nice cushion of rewards to make sure everybody is getting supplied. Another contract or contracts on L2 would be the pool delegation contract. So what we did there is every validator can deploy when they join the protocol, a pool delegation contract, which people just can delegate their funds to. So there's a specific contract for Luga nodes or for Everstake, which you can permissionlessly, using the main protocol approach, delegate your funds to Everstake or to Luga nodes, and enjoy, the reward sharing mechanism or commission they set up. So we did this to enable easier, I would say, bootstrapping of validators and other staking products. I can go into the L1 contracts, but I think let's wait for it until it came up in a different context.
Definitely. And maybe just one last question, because security is on our top of mind, and it's a very important aspect of everything. So what are some protective measures that have been implemented both on the contract and the protocol level?
So I would say that the control over the protocols, so not only we have a series of different modular protocols, we have a pause mechanism that essentially just pauses all the contract and disable any way to submit any storage change. In case we see something, there's tons of monitoring on top. So in case we see some irregularity, we can enact this pause to investigate. And from the governance perspective, so this is all technical, but I'm saying we or they, and this is very unclear. From the governance perspective, there's a security council that is being responsible for the sensitive keys of all the contracts. So it's not held, like Derek said, it is not held by SNF or Starknet people at all. This is a major step towards us granting the best chain we can to the community. So this is a part of it. So I hope, Robert, and not only the technical facilitators of keeping it safe, but also from the governance perspective, and whoever here knows about it, we did some actual drills checking Security Council and the availability and such. So it's not like just talking. We believe in checking stuff for real.
Yeah, thank you, Nathan. I think I'm super excited for the governance on Starknet, and especially about the security councils. And maybe in an upcoming community call, we can address that part in more detail. But yeah, thank you for addressing the roadmap and kind of like the technical overview. Now, maybe if we can go to some more visual aspect of this topic, and we can go into some dashboard overview. And we can talk to John and Apurv regarding this topic. And probably one first question would be like, could you walk us through some of the key features your dashboard provides and how it helps both validators and delegators to check more information about this?
Apur, you want to kick that off, or I'm happy to start on that one. Okay, cool. So jumping in, yeah. So for us, and like so many of us, the success of Starknet is super critical, and so for the Voyager platform, which is where our dashboard's located, we want people to be able to peer into and explore blocks and see what's happening very clearly. And so our dashboard is an extension of that, and wanting to present as much information as possible and showcase all the validators. Where's delegation going? Where's stake going? What's the commission? And just give a really high level of how's the protocol interacting with staking, how's different actors and nodes and validators, as you know, and of course these are currently nodes and moving toward validation in the future, but just present as much detail as possible so people can see all the different participants in the protocol, and then importantly, allowing users or stakeholders to interact with the protocol, and so delegating and starting to place their Stark in the different node operators. Yeah, over to you, Apurv.
Yeah, I mean, like pretty much like what John said. The idea is, like create a dashboard where everyone can analyze things. I think like the moment after staking was announced, I think one thing everyone was busy with is just like reloading and seeing like where's the stake going, how are numbers increasing. I think it was a very fun experience. I think it was good and it was fun building it from our side. So some things that we prioritized from our end when we were building this dashboard is that we really wanted to have like a top-notch UX. So we got amazing feedback after we launched. So that we're happy with that, but we also with that know things that like are breaking here and there as we speak to people. So we are like on it right now and fixing those things. But essentially, if you go to our dashboard and if I talk about the features, you can see apart from the list of validators, how much stake they have, and like apart from staking with those stakes, you can also see time series data. When I say that, it essentially means that you can see how stake is growing for different validators, how the delegated count is growing for different number of people. So that's something that we try to integrate so that like people can get a good sense of how values change over time, like how people are like attracting stake. Is it instantly? Is it slowly growing, and so on. So yeah, that's pretty much it.
I want to add, as there's a staking dashboard that is not represented here, and I'm not trying to advocate for them specifically, but just them to be in the table. Staking rewards, which is not native only for Starknet, but we're very, very thankful for them to take part of this journey as well. And they added the Stark assets to their platform, and they enable also checking with their own UX. It's a known UI for other stuff. So Stock is already listed there with the bridging and staking and all of the different stuff. So just shout out also to them. Yeah. By the way, I'm refreshing like daily, switching dashboards and refreshing by the hour probably still. So I don't think it's a thing of the past. Yeah.
Thank you, Nathan, for that shout out and for letting us know. There's many other like cool dashboards out there, and I personally played with some of them, and I think from a UI or UX perspective, looks quite amazing. Maybe in terms of like each platform has their own focus, right? So maybe I can ask both of you, like, what unique values do you provide to help users to probably make some informed decisions, and how like all like this your platform makes this transparent and accessible to the both participants but validators as well. I can name a proof now, and then we can go to John.
Right. So essentially from our side, so first thing is like from the user's perspective, we try to give you a good overview of the user's distribution or user's portfolio. So you can always come to the dashboard and see the number of validators you have staked with, what is the like commission each one is charging, and if the commission changes, it obviously like it updates real time, and you can see if anybody's making changes. You can unstake if you like, and so on. Followed by obviously like it is a top priority. Like this dashboard is meant to be more of a public good. Like although like it's under the brand of Endure, and like that's an LST which we in general are working really hard towards. It's supposed to be a public good, and like one of the aims, like I think we were having this discussion with Nathan the other day as well, as how do we make sure that like we promote decentralization in the Starknet ecosystem itself. So like informing validators itself, maybe like if there's too much stake concentration in one place, how do we distribute that along other places, or just other like informational stuff, like taking inspiration. If I just take inspiration from the Ethereum ecosystem, right? Like where they have these really cool dashboards where if one client gets a lot of control, they actually highlighted that, hey, maybe you should run some other client because this is not good for the network. Similarly, in terms of stake concentration, right? So these are important things, and these are definitely a priority for us. Obviously, we go around Twitter marketing it, stake with Carnot, stake with X and Y and Z. But definitely, it's a top priority for us to ensure that at the end, the ecosystem should benefit from this, and it should make sense. Yeah, the numbers should make sense.
Completely agree, and good points there. John, anything to add on your end?
Yeah, I think Nathan and Nathan and Apoorv have said it so well, is that it's and I think I can speak for all of us, is that if Starknet wins, we all win. And so and for us as dashboard providers, because like because Endura's got an excellent one, and the other one Nathan mentioned was excellent as well. Stakingrewards.com, and I think that's really just the focus is making sure that Starknet's decentralization is supported and users have the ability to interact with lower levels of the protocol without just going directly to a smart contract. I think just one other thing that we are focused on is the interconnection of our dashboard and our block explorer, so that you can see it, as much as you're interested, you can go as deep as you would like into the details of who's delegating with who, and what transactions are happening, and the interactions between all that.
Fantastic. Well, thank you very much for those answers, and I do agree. If Starkpool wins, all of us win. So I think that's a great point. So I like that. I don't know if anyone has anything else to add on this topic. Maybe if you have anything else, otherwise we could move on to a more detailed view, especially at the validators or node operators for this topic. And maybe we could go to both Masha and Max. We can start with maybe a question as like from early validators' perspective on Starknet. What drew you to Starknet, and what role do you see validators playing in the future? We can start with Masha, and then we can go to Max.
Yeah, sure. I'd like to mention that we began research in Starknet in mid-2022, and we've been really impressed by its progress since then. And I think Starknet is one of the strongest Ethereum layer 2s in the market, and we see great potential for Starknet and its ecosystem. During this time, we've assessed the potential opportunities to decentralization, and the first stage of staking offers significant opportunities for both the community and the project. And as a validator, we are very excited to participate in the first stage and look forward to being the part of transition to fully decentralized POS network. And we believe the next phases will require increased responsibilities for validators, and we are ready to leverage our experience to fully support the network producing, attesting, and providing blocks. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Masha. Max?
Yeah, for us, so we've been the start of a validator. It doesn't only start from mainnet launch, for example, right? Like what we had recently, but the collaboration starts very early on. So we've been in touch with the Starknet team, of course, for a longer time, helping also as a neutral validator, agnostic validator, have been part of many launches where we see also our role beside pure, let's say, pure role as a validator is also maybe advising, right, through governance, but also through various communication channels. What we saw with other launches also moving forward in the first months, which is very critical, right? What we saw worked out well, what we saw didn't work out that well. So sharing also our lessons learned from the past, I see it's very important to us. And what drew us, of course, to Starknet is also us being a large validator on Ethereum, not only on the classical staking side of things, but also on the restaking side of things. Of course, working on the first L2, right, that enables staking was a no-brainer for us. Furthermore, we also saw, as mentioned, as being an institutional validator, we saw already some interest from our network in staking, right? Or in staking of Starknet. Of course, that would happen after the bridging. It takes a little bit more time for institutions because of compliance and security, etc. But this is also a little bit business-driven, so to say, besides the innovative approach with the ZK Starks, for example, right? As mentioned, also being heavily involved in the Ethereum ecosystem in general. So these were the main reasons why we got involved, of course. And again, our role, besides being a validator, sharing experience, what we saw in the past, but also building other tools. I mean, these dashboards are a perfect example, right? For producing public goods, but also maybe even producing infrastructure that is not that visible. So being at RPC nodes, for example, besides dashboards, but also maybe like a governance voting bot that reminds you to vote. This is also something that I also have to pledge guilty that sometimes the validators, maybe forgot to vote. This happens to all of us. So these little public goods contributions, this is also something where I see validators could help in improving the ecosystem overall.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that, and good point on that, like improving the governance and having these validators to have an active role. It's very important in this. Maybe from a delegator perspective, how do you what some unique points does your validator brings to delegators, and is there like minimum number of tokens that a delegator is required to stake with your validator, or what are some requirements? We can start with Max, and then we can go to Masha.
Yeah, so in general, be having a focus again on the institutional part of thing, and what we mean by that, just as a pure example, it could be an institutional investor, right? That is part of the Starknet ecosystem, but also could be an exchange, for example, that has, as you know, exchanges have all different sort of features, also a staking feature, staking function for their end users, could be millions of users, right? So they're also very much interested in expanding and offer these additional services to their end user. So when it comes to delegation to Luga nodes, we're focusing on that. And here, for the institutions, of course, security and compliance is a very important topic. If you think about it, these are sometimes licensed businesses like exchanges, also even custodians, right? So for them, security and compliance is very important. And this is something where Luga nodes is trying to put the focus on. So as mentioned, for example, we are a SOC 2 Type 2 audited and ISO 27001 audited business. And what we try to, with this maybe a bit slower but more secure approach, we try to make the larger institutions more comfortable in enabling staking, which again, not only benefits the users for generating rewards in a non-custodial way, but also helping to further decentralize the network, having more TVL, right, having more staked assets, which furthers the security. It's a very beautiful win-win-win situation, in my opinion. So this is where we see, our how we could contribute to the amount of delegation, to the staking in general.
Thank you, Max. Masha?
Well, I have a maybe a bit different side, because we are more retail-focused validator, and we are focused on community education, and we are focused on creating guidelines and materials to help community to make informed decisions. So now we are preparing detailed guidelines for our users on how to stake, how to withdraw, or anything with STRK tokens. And additionally, we are creating educational materials to help our customers make informed decision and ensure delegation progress is secure. To support this, we have a dedicated page on staking where all necessary materials and resources can be found on our website.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. So basically, I just want to say that we also have many other active validators. I think we have overall like 63, like if I'm looking at the dashboard correctly. And we also have in the chat, Nethermind was a validator as well, Cardnote as well, a validator. So if you have anything else to add on this topic, feel free to add. But overall, I think we have a bunch of validators. The total number of delegators that we have, if I check correctly, it's 16,000, and it's growing. And this is just note, I think the first 48 hours. So I think these metrics is quite impressive, and I'm quite happy about to see this coming together. Maybe Apoorv or John, if you have anything else you would like to add on this topic.
I think they Max and Masha spoke about this perfectly.
Fantastic.
Yeah, nothing much. I think there's a question on chat. Should I answer it in the chat, or can I answer?
Oh yeah. So the question is, what is the difference between native staking, LST, or Endure.fi? Feel free to go ahead, Apoorv.
Yeah. So essentially, if you're native staking on Starknet, then essentially you are trusting the Starknet contracts, the staking contracts that were built with like a lot of care by the Starknet team. And I think in some way it is, I don't know if maybe Nathan is better to comment over that, but in some way it is good to think of these things embedded into the protocol itself. Even though these are smart contracts, I find it as a good mental model that these are things like staking is like a part of the protocol. And it would be interesting to hear from Nathan, right? Like, what do we do when something goes wrong here? Like, what is the plan of action going to look like? But yeah, that's essentially how you think of the staking contract. So if you're going to be staking natively on Starknet today, I would say the security is as good as like the security of Starknet. And but the downside is that you'll have to wait for around like 21 days for a withdrawal, the way the protocol is structured today. If you go stake with an LST, then you in return you get a liquid token. In the case of Endure.5, there is XStark, and this XStark token can be used in DeFi. It can be used to like send to other people, and this even allows you to, for example, enable faster withdrawals. Because if you're holding XStark and let's suppose there's liquidity on a Kubo, which there is by the way today, you can swap instantly and like get back your Stark tokens whenever you like. So you don't need to wait for this 21-day withdrawal periods. Obviously, there are like those if conditions, that what if there is no liquidity on a Kubo? What if there is no like liquidity available in some other markets? But that's more of a job of like pushing these integrations and making sure that there are incentives for people to have this liquidity in these places, so that our users have good experience. So that's essentially the difference. Obviously, when you're using Endure.5, there is additional smart contract risk which you are taking up, because those contracts are written by us and their security comes under us. We're audited, but at the end of the day, it's different than the native Starknet staking contracts, which we use below it. So yeah, that's the difference.
I want to add something about what Horv said. So I agree with everything. I just want to highlight another nice feature that might not be utilized in all of the UIs, but I really want users to know it, because it's something we worked on, and it's very much in favor, I think, end users, and not for me, because it was super complicated. And like Apoorv said, we need to make sure the staking contract is as secure as Starknet itself. So it took us more than one audit, more than one internal audit, more than tons of stuff to make sure everything is. So any complexity we added was harsh, and also not in favor of all the validators in a sense, because it creates a lot of competition. The feature is switching pools. So the nice thing about using our native delegation is you can move between different validators rather easy. You don't need to wait the whole 21 days. So, and again, like Apoorv said, if you want to withdraw your money, you are obligated to wait 21 days before you're able to do it. And with liquid staking, it's not the case. And also with liquid staking, you do get a bond you can trade on other platforms. So this is a huge advantage for LSTs if you want to use them in an active way and still keep liquidity. But we build a lot of nice features on top of our main enshrined delegation protocol.
Thank you very much. So that's very important as well for the whole security of the phase staking. And since we already touched upon some of the economic model incentives, maybe a follow-up question, or rather like a question either for Nathan or Derek, is regarding the minimum staking requirement. And so what is the minimum staking requirement, and what factors influence the decision for that certain threshold?
Yeah, okay, I can kick it off. So the minimum staking requirement is 20,000 Stark, and we also have the 21-day lockup. The purpose for that is to prevent network instability, and it really also introduces this long-term alignment of supporting the network. And there is no maximum. I don't think we've defined a maximum. Nathan, correct me if I'm wrong. I think that's open, and that was done on purpose. And yeah, so 20K minimum, 21-day lockup, as discussed. And I think this is, again, an evolution. So as we go through, we will have the future vision around block rewards, whether we introduce tips, whether we introduce burning and fee allocation. All of this is future research in the future phases that will be discussed with the community. So hopefully that gives an initial view for the current phase, and as it'll evolve over time. Nathan, if you've got anything else to add behind the rationale for the 20K, but I think it seemed like a number that was accessible to everyone. It helped decentralize and get more people on board to participate and be involved. But anything else you want to add, feel free.
Yeah, so I would say that, like a lot of stuff in the protocol, I would point out to the incremental step like principle, that we chose this number knowing there is no way to be certain about the correct number. So if this would end up being the correct number, it's just pure luck. We had some good explanations why this is the best guess we can have. And I want to point this out, and I give an example. Vitalik said 32 ETH was a mistake. It's too big. He didn't expect Ethereum to be worth as much, and he thinks it limits the network. He wants to take it down to 1 ETH. So to be as rigid is the main issue, in my opinion. And I want to stress that we put tons of thought into it, but to be arrogant to say we are correct and we know this is a correct number, it's not the case. It looks like it achieves what we wanted it to be, but it might change. Again, with community, with discussions, potentially with a vote, but I want to emphasize this process.
Thank you, Nathan and Derek on this. We'll see how this plays out. I think only time will tell, and if something needs to be done, governance will definitely help to bring us in the right direction. Maybe like Derek, you touched a little bit about this regarding like incentives for ahead. So maybe, I don't know if you have more information, like looking ahead, what incentives and mechanism will ensure validators' performance as responsibilities increases throughout the phased approach. Nathan or Derek, feel free if you have any insights. Otherwise, if it's still researched in the research phase, we can move forward.
I think a lot of it does come down to research and reflection upon how the move towards full decentralization occurs over what period of time, and like you say, research to assess that. I think there's been discussion on the forum around introducing a burn. There's been discussion around how fees are allocated. I think all of these are still things to be openly discussed and arrived at. I don't have an answer to that, but Nathan, after you.
So it's not the answer, but it's a answer. Like, so everything is not decided, but I'll give you where we are leaning towards. So we are probably going to implement a 1559 type mechanism that would end up with burning fees. So when you look about like sequencer getting value, it would be tips, MEV, depending on exactly how it would shape up. So this is like a very open research point, and staking rewards, just the block rewards per se. The reason being is very well documented, and Professor Noam Nissan, which is a very, very smart advisor to Starknet, published several papers about why fees should be burned and rewards should come from different resources. It actually makes the incentive structure more solid and more in favor for both sequencers and users, but I don't think it's the main discussion. It's not a decision that was made already, but this is where we're leaning towards.
Got it. Yeah, and I believe if the audience, those ones who listen, if you want to participate more in this discussion, I think the best way to get in these discussions is on the community forum on Starknet, and then there you can participate in various topics and research topics. So I'll drop the link in the chat. Feel free to join the community forum, and then there you'll have more information on these particular topics and how things will progress. Maybe there's actually a question on the chat from Galian. Should we expect partial withdrawal for validator? I mean only if the validator balance is greater than the minimum. Would anyone want to take that?
Does that mean like can a validator withdraw his own stake partially? I think that's is that the question?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh, should we expect partial withdrawals from the? It's a good question. I would say when like I'll try to externalize all the trade-offs I face in like generally. So every time a feature is being raised, I would ask like, why is it important? What it solves? Sometimes there's another way to solve the same thing. And second, I would emphasize that it would come at the expense of other stuff. So when you say like when we can expect a partial withdrawal from validators, like why is it important? I would say even why is it more important than having a very elaborate commission policy when the validators can raise commission, but 0.5% every 2 months to make sure users are not being rug pulled or anything. So like not rug pulled, like being misled. I would say it's not rug pulled at all. So like there's a lot of stuff that are in the pipeline, or a stronger connection between staking and voting power that we're looking into, and it's currently not high in the priority. So if you have a very good explanation, we might be wrong. So I'm asking this not to say, hey, we are correct and you are wrong. It's just we found this feature not to be, and also from validators we talked to, like mainly delegators wanted more flexibility than validators most of the time. So this is why you implemented this and not the other thing. But yeah, just opening up a very boring product manager dilemma. So I don't know if you care.
Well, thank you for answering that. And I think I have 2 more questions, and I think we can just wrap it up around the community call. And mainly these questions is from a community's perspective. So the first one would be if those who are listening, if they want to learn more about what's happening there, what's the best documentation to go through, and if there's some interested validators that would like to participate as a validator, how they can become one, and what type of like documentation they can look to. Maybe Nathan, you're the best one to answer this, or anyone else. You're still on mute.
Yeah, maybe Derek. I don't know. Push him.
Sorry, Robert. Your question is about like what we're looking for from other participants, or I don't know if you could rephrase it.
So yeah. So what we're looking like, if for example validators they would like to join as well, new validators would like to join, where they can get started, and then if there are other audience like listeners that would like to learn more about what's happening with the phase staking, where they can get this information.
Oh yeah,
no. Towards too.
Totally. We have some awesome documentation on the docs.starknet. I think you linked to it before. There's a whole section around how to become a validator, how to get involved, what are the parameters, what's involved in general, all in that. That's the one. Yeah, docs.starknet.io staking. That's the one. That's a very helpful place to start. And then I think for up-to-date comments and discussions, the Discord, the forum are the best places to go. We have all the open discussion there. And also Telegram, everyone's easily accessible. We're all reachable. So whether it's other delegators, validators, ecosystem participants, Starkware, Starknet Foundation, where we can all be reached. So happy to help if there's any questions on that front. So yeah, for me personally, I'm interested in seeing the feedback on dashboards, participation, how we see the ecosystem changing over time. I think Apoorv, you mentioned some interesting points around looking at L1 and how you have massive participants, validators, getting a lead on others. And I want to see how is our ecosystem going to change, and what sort of balance will we have across validators? Where will delegators go? Why do they go to certain places? What do those sorts of shifts look like in the ecosystem? So I think that's all very interesting, and it will give us good insight into what do people need more of, what's helpful tooling, what's helpful products, how do we make the UX easier for people to interact with. I think that's all important to get more engagement in the ecosystem. So for me, a very like broad, general, high-level statement, but I think the places I mentioned for conversation and discussion to go to is definitely a good place. And yeah, I look forward to people sharing ideas and thoughts, including the existing participants, so that we can all build this forward and get to those 4 phases that Nathan mentioned earlier on, in a secure, safe manner, and help to decentralize.
Well, thank you, Derek. I think that's a great way to wrap up this community call. Feedback is important for us. We're here to listen, so make sure to reach out to us, and we're trying to build this together. So I believe we're kind of like reaching close to the end of the community call. I'm not sure if there's any closing remarks from anyone. If there is, feel free to jump. Otherwise, I would like to thank you once again to all our amazing speakers for sharing their insights and expertise today. To our viewers, thank you for tuning in into a 60-second community call, and I'm wishing everybody a fantastic day. Thank you again for joining the call.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Robert, for hosting this amazing event.
Thank
Bye.
you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.